Welcome to Foodie Lounge, present to you by IndiaIntracts.com and Sulekha.com. Myself, Levin Johnson, and I've got Arjun here to assist. Today's recipe is going to be Vazhapu cutlets. I'm just going to quickly run through what you need for it. Vazhapu, potatoes, onions, green chilies, ginger, garam masala, jeera powder, turmeric powder. That's the roasted dal powder, which is also called the pottu kadala. And you need oil to fry, and then you have salt for seasoning. What you would need in terms of pots and pans, you need a pot like that. That's to boil the potatoes. Then a frying pan, in which you could do a shallow frying, and that's for the Vazhapu here. Arjun is going to show you here now what to do with the Vazhapu and how to work with this. As you open it together here, you could see all these flowers which needs to be taken out separately, and you just take the films out. This is what you don't need. That makes the dish bitter. So this is what you have to separate. It is a bit tedious, but the end product is really nice. So you'll have to take the flowers out. Okay, just chop the potatoes roughly like that and get the water going. Just enough to cover, bit of salt, and let it boil and mash up. So that's probably going to take up to 20 minutes. You could also do it in a pressure cooker if you want, and you can chop it even finer if you're really in a rush. But that's just perfectly okay. Coriander is to garnish, and it also adds up to the flavor. So this is optional again, but we got some fresh coriander here. You're going to chop it up and use half of it in the cutlets, and the remaining we're going to just leave it for garnish. After you've taken the stalks off, this ends have to be cut as well. This is the bitter bit. So what you really need is this flowers, which you see in here. So you could arrange it all together like this, put all the ends together, and you could chop the rest of it. What we've done here is we've just chopped up the flowers and we've soaked it in water. That is a must because it starts to discolor, and we're going to boil this in a minute. I think the potatoes are ready to be strained off. Just check if the potatoes are nicely mashing. Yeah, that's perfect. So this can go on to a strainer. Make sure all the excess water is all drained off nicely, and this can go on to boil. You could get some salt in this as well. We're just going to saute off the spices here. So you're going to get some oil. To start off with ginger, green chilies, onions. Try to mash the potatoes when it's still hot. It's going to be easy and it's going to be much finer. We really don't need to cook this Vazhapu for longer. Just one boil and that can be strained off. Just when the onions start to soften up, bit of garam masala and the cumin powder, jeera powder, bit of turmeric. Just stir off the spices for 2 minutes, and then this is ready to be put along with the mashed potatoes. Add in the Vazhapu here, then the fresh coriander chopped up, seasoning, the salt, and that's the roasted dal powder just for a little bit of binding. Dear Arjun is going to mix it all nicely. It's nicely mixed up, but you do need to let it cool down before you start making the shapes. And here we got a tray, and that's a roasted dal, pottu kadala, and just spread it out. Might need a little bit of water to wet your hands here, and then depending on how big the size you need, and get it to the shape you want. This is what you would probably want to do, is just press it hard, then turn it around, then press it hard again, and that's perfect in here. And just dust it along. Just a little tip here, just in case the potatoes seems to be moist because of excess water, you could always make it dry by adding in some dry breadcrumbs. You could also add in some corn flour or rice flour to get that consistency you need. Otherwise it tends to break when you throw it in the oil. And you could also batter it with a bit of eggs before it goes in. And you could garnish it with some fresh coriander leaves. And that's Vazhapu cutlets are ready.